Greetings everybody, coming to you from my 2025 Toyota Tacoma SR manual. One thing I'm trying to show here right off the bat is you can hear the turbo spool sometimes. Let me get down here and let's try this again. I don't know if that came through in the video or not, but it really makes it super cool, super fun to drive, just hearing that turbo. Let me try again here. To me, it sounds a lot like the same turbo sound that a mid-80s turbo Mopar, like a 2.2 turbo, would have. And I know those were really stout engines for the most part, as long as you maintained them. I owned a couple back in the day, so that was one thing I thought was super cool. Interesting, the amount of traffic on this road. Usually this is a back road. Usually this road is completely empty of cars, maybe one car going the other way. So some random observations, like right there, you'll notice I was at 1500 RPMs in fourth gear. And one thing that's really noticeable about this engine, especially if you've driven modern diesel cars, is it has, I'm almost gonna say, diesel levels of torque down low. I'm used to, in my diesel cars, at lower RPMs like this, hitting the pedal and you can actually feel something happening. And that's the case in this one. And it has a kind of a similar red line to a diesel engine, like 5200-ish RPMs. And I mean, it's well geared, and the torque is really nice in this. So there's a lot of people complaining about this being a 4-cylinder now, and I'm guessing all the people who are complaining have never driven one. If you're expecting it to behave a certain way and you've decided you don't like it before you even check it out, well, that's on you. It's funny, I think in cars in general, the people who complain the loudest about a feature or something on a car are likely the ones who have never driven it. I got that a lot on my GR Corolla. People were whining and crying because it either, oh, it has 3 cylinders, or, oh, it's a $40,000 Corolla, wah, 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 and guarantee you they've never driven one. Once you drive one of these Tacomas with the turbo, it all really makes sense. That paired with the manual transmission is just awesome. It changes the whole character of the car. And like these little acceleration bursts I'm doing here, I'm only pushing the pedal like a quarter of the way in. That's enough to give it some decent boost and get you moving. So that's one thing. So some other random observations I've made about this vehicle. The electronic parking brake in every other car I've had that has one automatically releases when you take off, and this one does not. You actually have to push the button to get it to release. I'm sure there's a reason they did that. Probably truck things. So anyway, another thing about this is the steering feel. It really has a nice steering feel. It is a little on the light side. but it's very precise. There's no slop, no play, and it has a nice weighting, good communication with what's going on the road, and it just makes it really enjoyable to drive. Someone did a review of one of these and said it was like driving a new 90s truck, and I can see that. I've only ever owned one truck before. It was an F-150 with a stick shift and 6-cylinder that my dad gave me when I was in college. So I've typically not been a truck person, but after driving one of these, I really like it. I like the body motions going over bumps. It just has that rugged feel to it. Very rugged, very solid. It's easy to drive. I mean, it's not like all over the road or anything like that. It's very easy to control. It just makes for a very pleasant driving experience overall. And let's see, what are some other observations of this? The seat is pretty comfortable, even in the base trim. The driver's seat comes with lumbar support. Let's see if I can do this in 4th gear here. Nope, that's a little too much. So you can't quite go down to 1,000 RPMs. I was I was watching a video about one of the engineers responsible for this car, and he was talking about the engine and how people that drive trucks will use the engine differently than people who drive cars. He said they'll be lugging it, and towing stuff with it and all that, and as a result, they built everything really heavy duty. My initial impression is this thing is very well screwed together. It probably will hold up very well, just like the previous gen. That's my opinion. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who disagree with me. There was one of these on Auto Trader. I just, out of curiosity, did a search with mileage highest first, and there's one out there with 66,000 miles on it, and there's not a whole lot on the Carfax. So either they did their own oil changes or nobody changed the oil except the dealer that was selling it. But yeah, I'm guessing these are going to hold together. You know, so the people who don't own these complain about how it's made in Mexico, it's got a 4-cylinder, blah blah blah, they're blowing up left and right. But every video I've seen of somebody who actually owns one of these and has put some miles on it has pretty much had zero issues with it. That's been what I have found to be the case. And I expect, obviously, at 257 miles in, obviously mine is, I'm going to try to turn around here. I think he's going in there. I'm just going to loop around here. For those of you interested, there's a airplane here. This is a small airport. Yeah, but the people who actually own these are reporting zero issues, or pretty much zero issues. So, I mean, I think when you're listening to what people have to say, you kind of have to consider the source. I remember reading something about some reviewer was saying, oh, you have to get up to 4,000 RPMs in first gear to get any power. I think somebody posted that on a forum or something. I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, this thing has power, as I just demonstrated, down at 1500 RPMs. And I think the peak torque is at 1700 RPMs. So anyway, I probably should have led with this, but one of the features that I absolutely hate, and I don't think people are aware of this, is this Toyota Connect thing, or Drive Connect, or whatever it's called. My recommendation is don't use it. Basically, what it does is Toyota collects all your information. They collect your driving information, where you go, how fast you go, how many miles you go, how you drive. Pretty much everything you do is collected, and they may actually even listen inside your car and record your conversations. Not 100% sure on that. And then they sell that information to your insurance companies, to credit reporting bureaus. I think it's LexisNexis, or whoever does the insurance score. So absolutely zero privacy if you're using that. So what I do as an alternative, even on this SR trim, it comes with Apple CarPlay, both wireless and wired. So I recommend you use that instead of the Toyota Connect, unless you want all your information sold and you want to be spied on. I think it's horrible that companies do that now. They disguise it as, oh, you get all these cool features if you use this. Well, no, it's really, we will sell your information and you have no privacy. So to keep it in your own lane there, buddy. So anyway, yeah, that's a big dislike. But overall, I really like driving this car. It's actually quite fun to drive. You know, as I had mentioned, I'm gonna try to do an 0 to 60 video at some point, but as I mentioned, it's quicker than I would have thought. Okay, so see here, I'm at 2000 RPMs in 4th gear. Let's just step on it a little bit here. I'm going uphill, by the way. So it really springs to life around 3000 RPMs, but you definitely feel a lot of torque down low. And this engine isn't fully broken in yet. I think engines these days basically come pre-broken in. I'm sure a lot of people who will disagree with me on that, but I've always driven cars from day one flat out, and I've always found good power and zero oil consumption by doing it that way. Now, this particular car that I bought has a little bit of an interesting, at least to me, story. So I called a dealer in Pittsburgh about this car. It was listed on their website, and the sales guy told me, oh, it's already spoken for. I'm like, okay. So he called me the next morning and said the deal fell through and that it is in fact available. I said, okay, I'll come up and check it out. So it had like 10 miles on it, and not, or 9 miles, something like that. And I test drove it and I liked it, and I made them an offer based on what I saw on the forums. People were saying they're getting 10% off on the forum. So I'm guessing that does not apply to the manual transmission cars, as I have found out, because based on the math that I've done, only about 3% of these Tacomas are manual transmissions. There's just a handful in the country that are available. Like at the SR trim, I think it was like there was 74 manuals and over 2,000 total available. So yeah, they are rare. But anyway, I got a little sidetracked. So they didn't accept my offer. They were willing to knock $1,000 off. And I just I basically said no. I mean, you need to do better. And then he had pretty much quickly said, well, it's been claimed. It's got somebody's name on it now. Anyway, started talking to my local dealer, and they have one coming in around June, and he was asking me if I wanted it, and I said, well, can you guys do $1,500 off? I landed on that as what would be about the best deal you could get on a manual SR, and so they agreed. But then the dealer said, well, they found one at their sister store, quote unquote. So I did a little searching online, and I found another, what I thought was another red SR manual with the same MSRP at a different dealer than the one I test drove at. I love how people think it's a good idea to cross the double line on a blind turn. It's always seems like a good idea, right? So anyway, it was at a dealer in Greensburg. So my local dealer traded for it. Well, it just so happened to have the quote I got from the dealer in Pittsburgh. Found out this is the actual car that I test drove. So apparently it got dealer traded. It wasn't sold, and it was still available. And my local dealer was able to dealer trade for it. So just thought it was kind of wild. I mean, it had 125 miles on it when I got it, but that's basically dealer employees driving it from one dealer to the next. Well, until I got it. So anyway, another weird thing is the temperature control. This is like an infinite knob, and your temperature display is like bars on there. That's kind of weird. I mean, it's fine. It works just fine. There was a good clip of the turbo. Anyway, and then the Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 works great, just like it does in my GR Corolla. That's the self-steering and the radar cruise control. No issues with any of that. I've only actually had 2 cars where that works well in. Well, the Toyotas it works well in, and I had a 2019 Honda Civic that it worked very well in. Every other car, it'll bounce between the lanes or just randomly let you go out of the lane. Okay, and then one other thing, again, I probably should have led with this because I definitely tend to be a little long-winded in my videos, is this one came with LDA, lane departure alert. And what I found, even on roads like this, it would, I'm going to actually try to do a U-turn here. If I can make it all the way. Can I make it all the way? Maybe. Yeah. And go back up this road again. So the LDA, what I thought it was what's like on my Versa, where if you cross the double line or cross the white line, it will vibrate your steering wheel. So this one does that, but randomly it will also steer. Like it'll be like, oh, you're going over the lane, and it'll correct. Now it's easy to overcome, but I did not like that. So that's LDA. So if you're just driving along randomly with everything otherwise turned off and your car starts steering for you, that's what that is. So if I could figure out how to turn on just so that it vibrates the steering wheel but does not actually steer for you, I would probably go with that, because I think that would be acceptable. But yeah, that whole just unexpectedly the car steering for you, I did not like. Now that's not to be confused with the lane tracing assist. That's the one activated by this button right here. Now that one I like. That's the one you turn on when you have the cruise on, and it will steer for you. That one I like. But the other one, the lane departure alert, don't like it. So in summary, I would recommend one of these to anybody. I think it's very well built. I don't have any rattles or anything like that. I did notice one thing. So I'm not going to be able to show you here unless I pull over, which maybe I can find a place to do that up here and show on the video. I don't know if this is a manufacturing defect or a quote-unquote just the way they are kind of thing. Yeah, there's actually a place up the road here where I can pull over and probably show that to you. So what it is, and I just happened to notice this when I was just kind of looking everything around, or looking around everything. When you open the door, there's some like hinges. Let's see here. There's nobody behind me, so I can kind of take my time here pulling into this area. So actually, also this has a halfway decent turning radius. I don't want to go over that edge. All right, so let me open this door. I'm gonna make sure to not do that while cars are coming, even though I'm pretty far away. So right in there, you'll see that's half red and half white, or silver. So I don't know if it's supposed to be like that. And you know, on the upper part, right there, it's not fully painted. If you have any feedback on that, I'm just wondering if that's just normal or if this particular truck has a painting issue. Of course, now I was talking about how this road has zero traffic, and now millions of cars. Okay, that one's turning. Oh yeah, side note. I always keep remembering everything I want to talk about later. Okay, let me do a quick burst. So you can see this thing is quick. I mean, it's really surprisingly quick. Anyway, this, you can see it. The IMT, that's Intelligent Manual Transmission. That's the same thing my GR Corolla has. And basically that, for the most part, prevents you from stalling when you take off in first gear. And it also does rev matching downshifts. Let's see. So there was a little demo of that. I did not rev it up like that. So I like that feature. I think it's really cool. And I mean, even here, when I slow down a little bit and get ready to go into second, so it's not quite as quick as it is in my GR Corolla, but it's still pretty good. I like it. And the transmission overall, it's very smooth. I haven't had any issues with notchiness or gear grinds or anything like that. It's overall very well done. All right, I had a lot to say, even after just a couple days of ownership, and hopefully this helps somebody. All right, have a great day, everyone.